Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you out there watching and joining our webinar. Today, we are going to talk about the best leadership style. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all, and let's get started. Okay, so let's talk about the best leadership style. As you know, this, or may know, this is a long-standing debate. You know, some people have certain ways of thinking about this. Others have their own opinions, as with everything in life, as we know. So I want to get into the specifics of this, and we can always, chat more in future webinars and coaching calls as well. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mary Daphne. I am an executive communication coach, among other things. I run 2 YouTube channels as well as podcasts, Advanced English for Executives and Explearning Communication. And I am the founder and lead instructor at explearning Academy, which is our professional development platform and network and community for modern executives who are looking to improve their communication skills, their social fluency, their interpersonal skills, and everything that you can think of with communication. We do it all. So let's get started with our topic. All right, does anybody have any ideas as to what might be the best leadership style? I'm curious. If anybody has an idea, put it in the chat now. I would love to hear your thoughts. Like I said, it is a long-standing debate. And there is an ongoing debate, right? It often depends on the specific context and situation. So effective leaders are actually very much able to, adapt their style to the needs of their team and the changes that they face. This is something that they're able to do. This is part of what makes them, effective leaders. And there are several studies that have been conducted, and many different styles have been identified. So there's no real one style is the best style. And we're going to look more into this idea as well. All right, so let's talk about leadership, right? Leadership is crucial for the success of any organization, as you know, right? Strong leaders foster a collaborative environment that encourage creativity as well as problem solving, right? Effective leaders are really good at, articulating any clear goals. They're good at inspiring their teams. They're good at driving towards success, right? So essentially, leadership is key for building a culture of trust, a workplace of trust. You might have heard of this, what's the culture like at your company or in your organization, right? Building a culture of trust is very important because it helps, individuals to stay motivated to achieve their full potential, right? And leaders actually play a key and critical role in driving business growth, achieving strategic objectives, and also navigating challenges. So this is something to keep in mind as a leader or as a rising leader. Let's say you are looking to become, a leader yourself, either now or down the line. So leadership styles are the different approaches a leader can take, right, in guiding and managing their team. So we're going to explore actually 6 of them here. Let's go through them one by one. And, let's talk about the 6 key leadership styles, which is authoritarian, democratic, laissez-faire, transformational, servant, and situational. And don't worry, you don't have to memorize any of these. Just kind of start to get familiar with them, and maybe some of them pop out to you as, oh, I actually do this, or I know a leader who does this, or I really admire, somebody who has that and emulates that and exudes that style. Okay, so authoritarian, right? This type of leadership relies on strong control and strict directives, okay? So that can be actually very effective in crisis communication and crises, but it can stifle creativity. So that's just something to keep in mind, right? Good for a crisis, maybe not so great for creativity. Then we've got the democratic leadership style, which involves collaboration, right? And also input from team members. And that's really great because it fosters a sense of ownership and also motivation. So people are more likely to, have that intrinsic motivation as well, which is really quite excellent if you think about it. Then we've got the laissez-faire, okay, the laissez-faire approach. And that's more of a hands-off approach, right? There's minimal guidance there, and it actually allows for more autonomy, but it potentially could lack some direction. So people might not exactly know, how to do certain things, and they might not feel like they're being guided enough. That is a potential downfall of this. Then we've got transformational, as you can see, okay? Transformational, which is, that really is about focusing on inspiring and motivating employees so that you can achieve a shared vision, right? Leading to significant change and growth, which is really great, right? Especially from the standpoint of progress and growth and improvement, right? So these are things to keep in mind as well. All right, let's see, what else do we have here? We've got the servant leadership style, which prioritizes well-being. Let me try to make this bigger so you can all see that. Okay, that's good. We've got the servant leadership, and that really prioritizes well-being and the development of team members. So that creates a more nurturing, collaborative, supportive environment where the team members are really, being cared for in a lot of ways. Their well-being is being prioritized, which is also really great. And then we've got situational, which is, adapting the approach, right, based on the specific context and the needs of the situation. So this is, depending on the situation, it's very much context-based. In some ways, it's more flexible. So that's something to keep in mind with that as well. Okay, excellent. Let's continue on to our next one. Okay. Now we've got, let's go into the specifics. So with authoritarian leadership, right, this is really characterized by centralized control, as you can see, right, strict hierarchy, and a focus on punishment rather than feedback. So for what it's worth, you might, consider this as something that you've encountered or maybe you're interested in, who knows? Okay, so the idea here is that the leader makes all the decisions, okay, and dictates tasks to subordinates, which leaves little room for independent thought or initiative, right? That's just the reality of this type of style. So a clear chain of command is established with orders flowing strictly from top down, okay, and limited upward communication. So it's, you get an order from hierarchy, upper management, the leader, and it trickles down. And there's a clear hierarchy, strict hierarchy, clear chain of command, okay? Then compliance, right, where people are compliant and they're doing what they're told to do, that's enforced through punishment, which can include things like reprimands, demotions, possibly even termination, which, is a scary thing for a lot of employees, rightfully so. And lastly, feedback is quite rare, and it's typically one way, right? It's not a back and forth where you provide feedback to the manager as well as they providing feedback to you. It's really from the leader to the subordinates with very little opportunity for constructive dialogue or even suggestions. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind with this type of leadership style. Then we've got democratic leadership. That involves shared decision-making, encouraging open communication and participation from the team. Okay, so, democratic leaders really value collaboration and feedback, which fosters a sense of, a cooperative environment where people feel freely to contribute their ideas with not much, negative ramification or consequences. Okay, so there's lots of that with the feedback and collaboration, in addition to shared decision-making, of course, right, which opens the floor for communication and dialogue and participation for the team. And democratic leaders really motivate their team, right? They give a sense of ownership and creativity in their work, which is really powerful, particularly for the creative types. And you don't necessarily have to be a creative per se. You could be in a corporate, very much corporate space, but have that creative side to you that gets kind of, stoked and supported. So that's that. And then, building trust and respect is actually key to this type of style, because these types of leaders recognize the contributions of team members, and they create a positive and supportive work culture where people, feel like they can contribute and that their value is clear. They have a unique value proposition to share, and people feel valued, which is amazing, right? Then we've got the laissez-faire leadership. This is more hands-off. Okay, so leaders delegate all decisions and all responsibilities to their team members. This type of leadership really provides minimal guidance, so it allows team members to work independently with very little direction or support. And, while this can be very effective for highly motivated, like those intrinsically motivated individuals and self-directed teams that don't need much direction, for others, the lack of clear direction might also potentially lead to some confusion and disorganization. So that's something to keep in mind. So again, right, it really also depends on who is part of the team. Right? You might have, as a leader, a more laissez-faire leadership style if your team is very self-sufficient, they have clear direction, maybe they've been working at the company for a while, you've been working with them for a while, you know each other's styles, they're highly motivated, there's no question about that. This might be the right leadership approach, okay? And, while it can be highly effective for these types of teams, it might not be for everybody. So this is something to think about, right, as a leader. So as you see, we have so many styles, which is actually really great because you don't necessarily have to just adopt one. You can play around with a few of them. You can get comfortable and see how that goes for you and try it on for size, as I like to say, right? Try it on for size. Okay, so transformational leadership is all about inspiring, motivating, empowering your team, which can be very powerful. We've all, I'm sure, encountered or had, leaders in our lives who have this kind of effect on us, right? They focus on sharing a clear, compelling vision that really motivates people. Right? You, as a leader, a transformational leader, you empower your team to actually take ownership and contribute their ideas. You create that psychologically safe space for them to be able to do that. And you're not just giving orders and commands and, delegating. It's a little bit different, right? It's different from that other type of approach. So this is really great too, because it creates this sense. Well, it fosters a culture of trust, first of all, and it also creates a shared purpose where everyone's working towards collective impact as a team together. Okay, so the key here, right, is to lead through inspiration and through purpose, not just through authority. And so when you can get your team really fired up about the vision and maybe the mission of the company, of the organization, of the startup, and the vision, like I said, and you give them the autonomy, right, to execute, really amazing things can happen. So that I'm just going to leave right there for you to think about. Really amazing things can happen. Okay, we've got servant leadership as well. This is about focusing on people, right? Empowering and supporting team members to reach their full potential. And really, it's about fostering a culture of collaboration, of teamwork, where everybody has a voice and everybody can contribute. Again, there's that psychological safety where they feel comfortable and confident to contribute, which is very important. And then that way you also avoid things like, group think, which can be very detrimental to team building, to decision making, to the company culture, and ultimately the productivity and workflow. And servant leaders are actually really humble, and they see themselves as facilitators and as guides. They don't actually see themselves as authority figures, which is really interesting, right? They see themselves as a facilitator and as a guide, and they really prioritize serving others and helping their team members succeed. That's really what they're looking to achieve as a leader. Okay, situational leadership, very similar to how it sounds, based on the situation, right? It's about adapting your leadership style to the needs of the team, to the project, to the individuals. So it's very much context-based, very flexible in its approach. So as a leader, you need to assess the competence and the commitment of your team members, right? And then provide the appropriate levels of guidance and support. And that might look different for the different members on your team, because everyone's going to be different. They're going to have different approaches to how they, work, to how they do things, to their workflow, to their productivity, to their scheduling, to how they hand in their deliverables and things like that. So it's more flexible. So not only should you shift your communication and be flexible with your communication, but you should also shift your leadership style based on the team's progress and their readiness. And again, everybody might be slightly in a different place. So being cognizant of that as well will serve you well. The goal here is to foster a collaborative and supportive environment where everybody on the team can thrive, including the, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever task you're completing, whatever project you're completing, whatever deliverables are being, met, and things of that nature. Okay, so what does the research tell us? This is very interesting. So numerous studies and research, and you may be familiar with Adam Grant, right, have shown that adaptability is actually a crucial characteristic of effective leadership. Adaptability, okay? So if you contrast that with rigid leadership styles as opposed to adaptable leadership styles, rigid leadership styles, research has shown that they are much less effective in our global climate, in our global workforce, in our rapidly changing environment where everything is tech enabled. We're embracing that. Well, most people are. And, adaptable leaders can really just do so well at adjusting their approach, right, based on the situation and the needs of their team. They have that superpower. They're like a chameleon, right? And, they're able to understand what the situation calls for and quickly adapt based on the context. And they know how to adapt. So this is really wonderful because it gives you ultimate flexibility as a leader. It requires a little bit more strategic thinking on your part. You need to know, not only the nature of the project, the scope of it, and everything like that, but in addition to that, you need to know who's on your team, how they work, what kinds of leadership styles are they amenable to, how do they communicate, what might their, cultural backgrounds bring to their communication and to their work, things like that. So you take it all into consideration. It's a very much holistic approach where you're being super adaptable. Okay, so I mentioned a chameleon here. I have a lovely graphic of one just to really sear that in your memory. So the key to effective leadership is really recognizing that every situation, okay, every situation is unique. I'll let that sit in for a sec, right? Every situation is unique and it requires a tailored approach. So to do this, you've got to understand the specific context. If you don't understand the context well, you need to work on understanding it and really familiarizing yourself with, okay, what is going on here? Who do I have on my team? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Who are the key stakeholders involved? What's on the line here? Just going through that whole list, maybe even a matrix, okay? So understanding the context, team dynamics, project goals, external pressures, key stakeholders, budget constraints, all that jazz, right? This is crucial for determining the right leadership style. And so by carefully analyzing the situations and situation at hand, leaders can successfully identify the precise needs of their team and adapt their approach accordingly. Okay, so again, there's tweaking. You're tweaking, you're refining, you're iterating, and that's how the process goes. So leaders who can demonstrate flexibility and adaptability are hands down the best, okay, the best equipped to navigate complex scenarios, maximize team potential, and also achieve optimal outcomes, which is what we want. I think we can say with certainty, hands down, that's what we want as leaders and as people who work with these kinds of leaders. Okay, so employees, right, are the lifeblood of any organization. We know that, right? As an employee, as a leader, we know this to be true. So it's crucial to empower and to engage them. They are an asset to your company, to your startup, to your organization, to your team. So delegation and trust are key. So I want you as a leader or as a rising leader to give employees the freedom to take ownership and to make decisions. This shows that you actually trust them, and it allows them to also develop their skills because they will self-regulate. They will also be aware. They'll start to build that self-awareness muscle, and they'll notice, okay, well, I'm really good at this, but I could probably work on that. And they'll want to, maybe even come to you for some training, some professional development, right? So they'll start to notice what they're good at already and things that they can improve upon. And, you know, as a leader, I want you to help the employees see the impact of their work, right? And also connect it to a larger purpose, because this makes their contributions more meaningful and also more engaging. Provide regular feedback, the positive kind, and also constructive, so that they know, you know, what they could be doing better. And it's very helpful, particularly if they themselves want to become a leader too down the line. This not only, you know, helps them recognize maybe some shortcomings or some areas of weakness, but it also helps them put their strengths in perspective too, right? So that's something to consider. And then, of course, regularly recognizing and celebrating achievements, because that not only boosts morale, but it also boosts motivation and makes people feel good and they feel valued. And everybody wants to feel valued for their work and for their unique value proposition that they bring. Also, opportunities for growth. So offer training, you know, development, advancement, because this really demonstrates a commitment to your teams and your employees' personal and professional growth. And people love being able to work on themselves and to, you know, get better in certain areas, especially if they find that they might be lacking in specific spaces. So that's something to keep in mind. A collaborative culture is essential for effective teamwork, as we know, right? And so as leaders, we have to encourage open communication, all right, and value diverse perspectives from the team, which is so important. Everybody brings different unique value proposition to the table, and we need to highlight that and show we appreciate it, right? It also creates this sense of belongfulness, right? Belongingness, right? A sense of belonging, community, that community culture that we're building, very important. And, you know, I really want you to focus on thinking about defining clear, shared goals so that everybody understands and they're invested, right? Because that's key. You want that investment. You want them to feel a sense of investment and ownership. And so having a clear and common purpose and then alignment, of course, around objectives is what really drives collaboration. And people want to work with each other and together. When people feel part of something bigger, they're much more motivated to contribute and to work as a cohesive unit. So give them some lofty objectives in other words, but make it, you know, bigger than any one individual. Something that they can work on as a shared goal together. Very, very powerful. As we know, effective communication, it always comes down to effective communication. That's key, right? To building trust and to building understanding. So we've got open dialogue, we've got transparency and clarity, and we've got regular feedback. Also active listening, right? Active listening, clear expression, and genuine engagement are what help create that open dialogue, that transparent communication as well. And specifically transparent communication and clarity, that really helps to make sure that everyone is on the same page about the vision, about the goals, about the mission, about, you know, what's going on, as in addition to certain decisions being made or what might be made, change dynamics, things like that. And then of course, providing regular feedback, right? And hopefully it's both you providing feedback and they providing feedback. So it's more of this collaborative feedback cycle that really provides opportunities for growth and improvement. And we really want to know what we're doing well and what we could be doing even better, because professional development is very important, and so is personal growth. So fostering an environment of open dialogue, of transparency, and of feedback is essential for communicating effectively. So keep these three kind of main bullets in mind, right, when you communicate as a leader or with leaders. Continuous learning and growth are also really essential for effective leadership, right? So things like personal development through workshops, online courses like Explearning Academy, we're a professional development platform. You know, actively seeking feedback, maybe from peers, from mentors, even direct reports can be really valuable, and learning from those insights, right? Also staying informed on industry trends, depending on what industry you're in or you're hoping to get into. And you can do that through peer-reviewed publications and keeping yourself up to date with trends and conferences, networking, things like that, very important. And also experimenting, right? Have that curious mindset, that growth-based mindset, experiment with new ideas and learning from your past successes, from past failures. That also helps us grow as employees, as employers, as leaders, as individuals, right? So effective leaders are always looking for ways to improve their skills and knowledge. It's not static, it's dynamic, it's continuous. You know, it's not like they do something well and then they just sit on their laurels and look at their, you know, trophies and plaques and medals and certificates. They say, okay, I did that really well, but I'm also, you know, looking to improve myself in this regard. And I'm going to take that professional development course or join that type of professional development platform and improve my communication and improve my leadership and improve my interpersonal dynamics at work and my social fluency so that I'm even more effective, right? They're also not technophobic. They embrace new ideas, new technology, and that's also really key to continuous learning and development, right? They're always looking for ways to improve themselves and improve their skills, which is very admirable as well. So in conclusion, you know, we explored the importance of adaptable leadership, right? increasingly globalized, rapidly changing, tech-focused world. And one of the key takeaways that you may have already noticed is that by embracing flexibility and adjusting your approach as a leader and as needed, leaders can effectively guide their teams, through challenges, through obstacles, surmount those challenges and obstacles, and help their team members achieve their objectives and reach new heights, right? So adaptable leadership is not about being indecisive, right? It's rather having the agility to pivot and to respond to evolving circumstances. Because the reality is circumstances are always changing. Change is what's constant, right? We know that change happens. And, the ability to adapt and that resilience too, that it brings is crucial for success, because it allows leaders to stay ahead of the curve and make the absolute best decisions for their organizations. So as you move forward, I really, really encourage you to cultivate this mindset of adaptability within your own leadership approach, because it is going to serve you so very well in navigating the complexities of the modern business landscape. That is the name of the game, right? So flexibility is key, having that flexible communication, having that adaptability within your own leadership style. Those qualities are going to take you very, very far. So I really appreciate your showing up today, for joining me for this live class. I'm really proud of you for investing in yourself. And if you're keen on improving your communication skills even further, then I really encourage you, we talked about the professional development, right? That's so important because it's a continuous process. It's an ongoing journey. So I really encourage you to, have a look at our own platform, Explearning Academy. And, we've got boot skills, communication boot camps, and webinars and web courses and monthly challenges and courses and live interactive chats and video call meetups and interest groups. So it's also a place for you to network with fellow leaders, fellow employees, fellow entrepreneurs, and people who are looking to, improve themselves in so many ways. So that's what we have for you. And you can consider joining the self-study program, which is really great because it's very flexible and adaptable, as we were saying before, with the key of, having that flexibility. And just download this QR code, or rather go to this, you can use the QR code to go to our website and check us out there. You can also read the testimonials from people who have been through the program and are currently in the program. And this is something that, you will really start to notice in your life as helping you with your communication skills, your leadership skills, your executive communication, executive presence, and improve not only your professional life, but your personal life as well. And in the words of one of our members, best investment, you won't regret it. So as Medea says, it is an investment and you certainly won't regret it. How could you ever, regret investing in yourself? That's one of the most important things, right? And so I really encourage you to check out academy.explearning.co, and hopefully I will see you in the community. All right, take care everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.